Good morning. My name is Joe Eastman. I think most of you know I'm retired military, live in South Philadelphia and a taxpayer. Before I start, I'd like to ask every veteran in this room, every family member of a vet who wishes to do so, every supporter of a vet to get up and stand up. Just let us recognize you. It's my honor to be here with every one of you. Thank you all for your service. I want to start by quoting, or actually paraphrasing, President Barack Obama's former commander of forces in Afghanistan and Iraq, as well as his deputy, or as his director of Central Intelligence, four-star General David Petraeus. He wrote a long letter as a West Point graduate to a group of freshmen up at West Point. I'm not going to read that letter. It's pretty long. I can forward it to anybody if they want to read it. But I'm going to go over the last sentence real quick. And it kind of gets, in my mind, what we are veterans up here fighting for. General Petraeus said, just by the fact that you're one of that 0.5% that is willing to go in harm's way, put your life on the line and serve this country, that in and of itself makes you part of an elite organization. Now, I doubt anybody back here thinks they're elite. But I think it's well worth it to contemplate on what General Petraeus said. The other thing is, what I'm worried about when all this stuff goes forward in November, because I think we've seen it kind of happen over the last 24 hours, is that as sure as I'm standing here, somebody's going to come forward with something else saying, let's put another group in that bill so they can get the same thing that we have. Well, my response to that is, if you want what I have, go out and earn it. Do what we did. If not, find something else to do. Third thing I want to talk about. There was an article that was floated around last Saturday by a lady named Jenny DeHuff. And it quoted somebody in this body as, what we're just, and I'm paraphrasing here, if I get it wrong, I apologize, but I think you'll get the understanding that we're just trying to help kids in a tough economy. I'm almost 70 years old. This is the best economy, best job market I've seen. As many of you know, I was a job developer for Greater Philadelphia Urban Affairs Coalition. And I kind of do it in the veterans community kind of as a hobby. In the last 11 months, I have sent to the veterans community 110 organizations, businesses in Philadelphia that are looking to hire. I am here to tell you, finding a company that's willing to hire is not difficult. If I can find that, just kind of doing it as a hobby, why can't the school district of Philadelphia do it? And if they don't know how, I'll be glad to show them. There are jobs out there for our young people. And I would say to any young person, okay, if you want what I got, you go out and earn it just like I did. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your testimony.
Tom Campanero. Tom Campanero. Monty Wilson. Commenting on 200016.
Thank you. Some brief technical difficulties. My name is Montgomery Wilson. Some of you know me. I'm a senior attorney with Community Legal Services in Philadelphia, where we serve low-income Philadelphians with their civil legal issues. I personally have represented hundreds of homeowners who are dealing with preserving their homes. We all remember the predatory lending days and the bill that City Council passed over a decade ago to fight predatory lending, and the actions that you took in Common Pleas Court to help homeowners. And my most recent project has been focused on helping people to pay their property taxes and both allow them to stay in their homes and pay their property taxes. My mother warned me never to follow children and animals, and I think I've also learned today, don't follow football players. So let's hear it for the Blackhawks. I'd like to say that on a personal note. What I'm here today for, though, is to urge you to put money back in the pockets of Philadelphia's working families. One of the bills today relating to the city wage tax refund, Bill 20016, is essentially a local version of the Earned Income Tax Credit. It currently exists on the books, but as the amendment proposes, it would increase the amount of the refund for a family of 4 from about $171 per year up to about $800 a year. That is their wages put back in working families' pockets for eligible low-income families. It's very similar to the Earned Income Tax Credit that benefits millions of Americans. And we have the same program here in Philadelphia, but few families take advantage of it. At CLS every year, we see over 10,000 low-income homeowners and families who come to us for advice. About 3,300 of those are wage earners. Those are my clients, my constituents, who could benefit with an extra $600 a year in their pockets. That's a bill that will pay for their groceries. That's a bill that will pay their property taxes. That's a bill that will pay for their SEPTA pass. And also, when you expand that to the entire city, that is thousands upon thousands of your constituents who will benefit from your investing in the wages they work for. I urge you to pass this bill unanimously today.
Thank you for your testimony, sir.
Joeganahel, commenting on 200-016 and 200-176.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is the official decree of the people, writ mandamus quo warranto, which as such requires immediate action and remedy. Every week, council, mayor, governor, and others transfer private property to government, probably unlawfully. Paul Robeson and Martin Luther King fought against oath-violating officials, stealing the people's property and denying God-given rights. In the decades since their struggles, the race and sex of these oath-violating officials has changed, but their unlawful actions have not. In the most diverse council and city government ever, bullying of the people appears worse than ever. Aaron V. Cooper, 358 U.S. 1, requires your prosecution for violating your oath to God. Would Martin Luther King approve of your apparent unlawful behavior? If violating one law one time would send your constituents to jail, why hasn't the Attorney General prosecuted your oath violators in my case? The constitutions require immediate remedy of this breach of law, breach of clothes, breach of fiduciary duty. Your oath of office requires you to act or face prison. 42 U.S.C. 1982, 1983, 1985, 1986, 1987. 18 U.S.C. 241, 242, 23A1, 23A4. PA Constitution, Article 1, Sections 1 through 28. 26 PA CSA 703, 705, 708, 709, 711, 712, 713, 716, 902, and other laws listed in SCOTUS 158965, 141330, 144056 appear violated. I call on the federal and Commonwealth governments to perform their constitutional obligations, to investigate and prosecute all involved in the theft and illegal deed transfer of my home, 1038 West Wyoming Avenue. The denial of God-given 42 U.S.C. 1982 property rights for 26 years is egregious, extraordinary, oath-violating, and requires immediate remedy. A just government must obey the rule of law. This color law government must have its charter to govern revoked until a constitutionally compliant government is installed. Public servants cannot refuse their sworn duty to act any more than a fireman can refuse to fight a fire. The sovereign people require oath, constitution, law be enforced, and jail is required for all who violate oath, constitution, or law. I remind council, it takes a lot of cooperation to create and allow all of this monumental corruption. And these veterans that are here in this room did not fight overseas or in any war to allow you to violate the Constitution and demand that you obey your oath.
Thank you. The Chief Clerk will please read the name of our next speaker.
Darryl Johnson. Commenting on 200006.
Good afternoon, City Council of the City of Philadelphia. My name is Darryl Johnson. Thank you again for this opportunity to address you. As a retired teacher, I am not opposed to school to employment opportunities for our city's youths. But as a veteran, I am still opposed to Bill 20007 as written. I have an academic-only diploma from the School District of Philadelphia. This bill does not benefit graduates like me. My nephew's parents are city law enforcement officers. He attends a Catholic vocational high school in the city. This bill does not benefit future CTE graduates like him. Dr. Hackney, director of the Mayor's Office of Education, reported in this very room last week before the Labor Committee that the bill is exclusive and does not cast a wide enough net. The bill also lacks clarity for the qualified electors. Voters will assume that this is a desire by the city to connect and capitalize on the over 1,000 hours of industrial skills and certifications these graduates have. Or why else would they select this group for preference? Dr. Hackney said again in this location that this preference should be aligned to industrial skills. Unfortunately, this assumption is wrong. In fact, the CTE preference is broad-based and is not aligned to skill sets. The proof of this is in the amendments. Notice that there's a movement to increase the number of points for Philadelphia Police Explorer cadets from 3 to 5. This charter change would have placed CTE preference over these cadets who have been trained for years for this position. I don't think this is fair. There is also another major oversight. The amendment lists or limits CTE preference to eligibility of 3 years after graduation. And it is believed that a smaller number of CTE graduates will stay in the city to seek employment. In comparison, we veterans have lifetime preferences. So what is the problem? Here's what is not being said. Each year, a new group of CTE graduates will start their 3 years of eligibility. Starting year 3 and beyond, veterans, legacy families, and others will have to compete with 3, not 1 CTE graduating class every year indefinitely. This is no small number. Even the Human Resource Director had mentioned in this very room that this is not necessary. In all due respect, this bill should be vetted, much better vetted.
Mr. Johnson, we're going to ask you to wind down your testimony. The time's up.
Yes, almost done. You just cut me off. Okay, in closing, freedom is not free. Veterans' preference was never given. It was earned, and it's exceptional. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Clerk will call the next witness.
Tyrone Love. Commenting on 200006.
Good morning, Madam President, City Council, veterans. Good morning. Cool. Ma'am, to piggyback off of Dr. Johnson. Say again. My name is Tyrone A. Love, last name spelled L-O-V-E. Would you like my, okay. I am the commander of VFW Post 3090 Slow Post located at 5212 Ray Street. I am the past commander of American Legion Post 682 located at 159 East Sharpneck Street. I am the director of Veterans Affairs for the state of Pennsylvania for the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of here in Pennsylvania. The reason for my coming today was in reference to the veterans' preference. Ma'am, I ask you, I beg you, at this time, if City Council can understand that, again, what we do, we earn what we have done. The veterans, some have given their lives for the freedoms that a lot of people take for granted. to give the children and or others the preference that we have earned, you know, as stated by my colleagues here, I ask at this time, please do not take our preference. That we're not against the children receiving certain things, but at the same time, ma'am, I ask them to please don't forget the sacrifice that many men and women like myself have made. You know, and when we come home, sometimes we're forgotten. You know, so I ask you, Madam President, you know me, and many people here in the council know who I am. You know, I am an advocate for veterans' preference and or veterans being taken care of, homeless veterans, because we have earned certain rights. And I ask you and I applaud you if you can look over this bill and please remember the freedoms that we have given so many of you and so many take for granted. Thank you, ma'am. Have a great day.
Thank you, thank you. Clerk will please call the next speaker.
David Pearl. Commenting on 200006.
Good afternoon. This time I made it by 3 minutes the other way. It was 3 minutes of last time. My name is David Pearl. I am the State of Pennsylvania appointee to the National Legislative Committee for the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I like that. I was here last week, as you know, and told you I was here representing our Commander-in-Chief and told you that their interest in what's going on here in Philadelphia is real. So what they sent me was they wanted me to point out to everybody here in chambers that under the U.S. Constitution, the 14th Amendment is something you might want to look at because it's going to defend the right of veterans and focuses on what you're trying to do here. Also, Title 42 of the U.S. Code, subsection 1983, also specifically addresses what you're going to do or what you're attempting to do here. So what I want to do, and I'd like all the comrades that are in the room here with me, everybody who served as a veteran, please stand up. I want to point something out to everybody. So, members of council, to yourself, ma'am, everybody that's here, including myself, when they went into the military, put up their right hand to protect and defend this Constitution. Everybody you're looking at signed a blank check saying they would take a bullet to defend this Constitution. That's how they earn that right for that veteran's preference. I've been in discussion with a lot of you. You all support veterans. Don't ever lessen the value of that thank you that you give us because, like the people before me had said, they earned it. This can be dealt with in another way, but to lessen the 10-point preference for veterans is a slap in our face. I want to thank all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the name of the next speaker.
Nathaniel Smith. Commenting on 200006.
Nathaniel Smith. Good afternoon, Council President and council members of the great city of Philadelphia. My name is Nathaniel Smith. I am the State Junior Vice Commander for the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the oldest combat organization consisting of 25 districts, 440 posts, and approximately 72,000 VFW members. I'm here on behalf of my commander, Wayne Perry, and to echo those sentiments of our National Legislative Chairman, David Pearl. Representing Pennsylvania, VFW, and 60,000 veterans of the city of the brotherly love to oppose this resolution 200006 and 7, amendment of the Charter of the Civil Service Commission. I'm a retired U.S. Navy veteran, served 24 years retired in 1999 as an E9, which is the highest rank that you can achieve in the enlisted community. Okay, my base pay after 24 years was $32,000, which looking back at it, if I was a civilian and I had a civilian job, I could have probably made that at McDonald's. I would probably have made twice that amount. I just recently retired from the Department of Labor and Industry, Bureau of Occupational Industrial Safety, as the director of the Boiler Division and Chief Boiler Inspector for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. After 20 years, if it wasn't for the extra 10 points as a veteran for my military service, I would have never got hired. I'm not opposed to giving career and technical education graduates extra credits, as I was one myself. My mother was a single parent. There was 8 of us left out of 12. I was the only one to graduate high school. She couldn't afford to send me to college. So I joined the U.S. Navy, and I'm very proud of what I've done. I applaud Councilwoman Richardson for her efforts and concerns for these students. However, it should be on the backs of the veterans of Philadelphia, who have made sacrifices for our freedom. The veterans have earned the 10 points due to their education, experience, and training, whether they served 4 years or 30 years.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to ask you to please wind down your testimony.
Okay. So specifically, if you pass this ordinance, you're in violation of PA State Veterans Preference Act, Title 51, subsection 7104B and 7109. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, sir. Will the clerk please call the name of our next speaker?
Louis Lennell. Commenting on 200006.
Mr. President, my name is Louis Lanny. I was born, like many people in this room, I was born, bred, educated here in the public schools of this city, and still standing. Furthermore, I was a policeman here in Philadelphia, separated by injury some years ago. I come here today to speak in opposition of the bill being considered that would offer preference to the CTE students of the Philadelphia Public Schools, a bill that I'm sure was very well intended. I think that singling out and offering a boutique preference to this small group of an entire group of Philadelphia Public School students does a disservice to the other students, the many thousands of students that attend our public schools. Furthermore, I believe that preference should only be offered under 2 circumstances. One being to recognize the extraordinary service to our community offered by a group, in my mind, veterans and police officers or firefighters or other city employees who were killed or murdered many times in the course of their employment, or veterans who were injured on the battlefield or killed. So I would urge you to reconsider what I'm sure was a well-intended bill, and think about the injustice that's being done to the many thousands of men and women who have put on the uniform of this country and of this city and have done their duty and have many times been injured and murdered in so doing, and to the exclusion, speaking about the students of the Philadelphia Public Schools, all others who weren't beneficiaries of the CTE program. The public school students that didn't go through that program are equally valuable to us, and they deserve the same chance that anybody else gets. So I would urge you to rethink this well-intended, but I think premature offering. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Larry Holman. Commenting on 200006.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Council President Clark and all the other councilmen and all my fellow veterans that are here today. First of all, I just want to remind you of my testimony that I offered a couple of weeks ago. And, you know, it seems like here in Philadelphia, the birthplace of our nation, that we need to be cognizant of what it means to preserve this great nation and what it takes. And a lot of people have stepped forward to answer the call when our nation was threatened. Now, I want to keep my remarks brief and just by reminding you that there was a fellow named Steve Mason that wrote in the 1980s a book called Johnny's Song, Poetry of a Vietnam Veteran. And in that, there was a poem called The Casualty. And that poem acknowledges that the poorer males were more likely to become veterans, only to find when we get home, somebody moved the town. Now, the young vets suffered a loss of time and opportunity that can never be returned. Therefore, I object to putting high school graduates on a par with veterans. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Lewis Gibson.